Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each of these episodes, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business owner, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $1 million a year. Now, earning your money is important, but what is also important is the relationships that you gain that help you to build your $1 million a year or $100,000 a year, whatever it is that you're headed for. And everyone should have a number in their head, even if it's only $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month, folks, is 120 grand a year. If you get that consistently, that's enough money for most of the United States to live very comfortably. Not great, but you're dealing with some kind of an income that is like around here. $120,000 would be a massive down payment on a really nice home. You don't have to put down 10% or 20%. If you were able to take that $120,000 ideally and invest it instead of just living off of it, just invest half of that. A $60,000 down payment would be 1/4 of a $240,000 home. That's not chump change. That's really good money. And there are areas of the country, of course, that wouldn't even stand up to the first house you even find that's falling down. But in our process of doing our sales, we have to do something that's part of the sales process. At the very base of it is what we know as prospecting. Now, I know that a lot of people say, well, I go out and I prospect all day long. I'll send out emails and I'll do this. No, 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 no. That's not necessarily prospecting. And so today and Thursday, we're going to talk about prospecting as a tool and as a practice. And today we're going to focus on building a prospecting list. Now, before I get to the topic of prospecting lists, let's talk about the idea of prospecting in general. Okay? You want, as a potential sales process, you have to have fuel in your tank to be able to drive anywhere. If you have a car with an empty tank, you're not going to get very far. What is it that you want to do when you start off on a long trip? Fill up your tank. Get your tank as full as you can. And I want to kind of explain something that was, it was a fun thing that a friend of mine did a challenge of. Is what kind of gas mileage do you get with a full car versus what kind of gas mileage do you get from a car that's maybe half full? And we literally did a test. He was telling me that the lighter the car, the less the gas it should be using up. Therefore, being starting at half empty and going down should get you better gas mileage. Great thinking, except there's a law of motion that once you get something up to speed, it is much easier to maintain it than it is when you're not being able to get that momentum behind you. And prospecting is really the momentum that drives a sale. It gets things up to speed. And the idea is, instead of having a pipe that is 1/4 of an inch across in diameter, I should say, you want to get a pipe that is 2 feet in diameter and completely fill that. And the more streams of prospecting you can do, the more unique ways that you can prospect, the easier it is to fill that pipeline. Now, eventually, you're going to run into the case of you have to keep pushing things into your pipeline. But that just simply means you're going to build a different list that's going to focus in a given different way. So, in a long way around it, the story that I alluded to clearly showed that we got between 3 and 4 miles per gallon better when the car was full, because the kinetic energy, once we got going, the weight behind us was literally pushing us down the road, and we were able to get better gas mileage than when we were, we didn't have a lot of gas, and that kinetic energy behind it wasn't pushing us anymore. Now it was kind of weighing us down a little bit. At the very least, it wasn't helping us. So, what we want to do with prospecting is get a way to keep our car full as much as we can, turning even prospects, after we've made a sale. We want to make these people become prospects again. We can't just have a single solitary product or service and call that being a company. That might be a company in the loosest sense of the words, but once somebody buys from you, if they don't want to buy the same thing again, you don't have another sale. And so this is where the concept of the value ladder kicks in, where people can ascend to a higher level as they have more money, as they have more benefit coming from you. They're willing to invest more in new ways. So with prospecting, trying to keep that pipeline full, what most people have the problem with in prospecting is they don't have any way to get the pipeline even thought of. They sit and say, well, I don't know anybody. And there's an age-old fun thing that you can do is within 10 miles of your business, pick out 10 businesses. Get their information. Send them a letter telling them that you would like to meet with them, and that you would like to just simply sit and talk with them and find out what is going on with their business. And if you can help them, you'd be more than happy to. No charge. And if that doesn't work, send out 10 more emails. And go on Facebook and take a look at these people up front and see what's going on, what their motivation is. It's the greatest thing about being a consultant is you don't actually have to have something somebody else wants. You oftentimes can help them find it for themselves, and they're just as happy about it. And if you could put a price tag on it, all the better. So let's talk about this list part of the prospecting. When you are building a list, you actively want to find people you already know. You don't want to reach out to people. This is the Dream 100 Type 2. This is, you want to know somebody and get access potentially to someone on the other side of that person. Maybe someone they know. What is the saying? The average person knows at least 10 other people. And so if you pick 10 people you know, and they have 10 people outside of them, you have a very good chance of having at least 90 people that you can connect with, if you can connect through those 10 to 10 more. Because some people are going to know the same person, from both lists. So what we want to do is find all of the people that we already know and put them into a massive list. We're going to sort it. We'll figure out what to do with it a little bit later on. But for right now, let's start with the obvious things. The term is usually called your power base. These are your family, your friends, people you know through associations, maybe through your church, through a professional organization, through some affiliation that you have where you have other people that you get to know. Chamber of Commerce is the easiest one that I can think of that every business has access to. If you just sign into them as, you have to have a little bit of money, of course, to get involved. But the Chamber of Commerce is the fastest way to get connected to other people that, you can work through. So these types of associations, I find it, $375 a year for my chamber dues. And I'm like, that's a great investment. If you have it, I think they go down to like 150 for just the base level, but that's fine because you're going to be able to connect with all kinds of other people through the registry of that association for the chamber. So if you start with your power base, your family, your friends, your associations, and you start building everyone you know through that. Like, I'm a former member of the Elks Lodge. I still know a lot of people in the Elks Lodge that I could reach out to and talk to. And I haven't been active in it for a long time, just simply because, making the move across the country, you didn't see the same thing here as to where I was when I lived in California. But these associations, I can still reach out to these people and I can talk to them, and they're connected through my friends and through my family and the people there. I can sit down and talk with them. I did a lot of things for the lodge before I left and did it not to get paid, simply as contribution for being part of the group. And so all the people suddenly knew me because of my association to give away. That's part of the thing that's a good, I won't call it a tactic, but it's really a good idea in prospecting, is you want to give somebody else an incentive to be able to not just help you, maybe you just help them. Maybe you go do something for them. I have a lady that contacted me on email offering headshots for my business, and she's in Indianapolis, so she's an hour away. A little bit far for me to necessarily go over and say hi to just because. And she contacted me. It ended up in my junk mail folder. And so I wisely didn't delete the email. Instead, what I did is throw it into my inbox and then go research her company. And I was like, wow, she does a really good job. I like these pictures. They're a special type of, business photography. And she excels in that. In fact, she specializes in it. So I do have a need for headshots. Anybody that's pretty much in business as a business owner should have a series of headshots for different types of scenarios. And, some in black and white, some in color. You don't want to necessarily always use a color photo in a black and white environment. It doesn't really come out very well. And black and white photos in a color environment are less than stellar. So you need that. And instead of just calling her up and going, hey, can I sit down and, get your pricing and things like that, I added into the email, oh, by the way, I found your email in my junk folder. And then I offered to, as part of talking with her, to find out what she was doing and maybe be able to help her at no charge to fix that problem, so we can get people, to get these emails out of the junk mail folder and into her main, into the inbox. And this was just simply, I'm not taking up any money to help her in doing this. I'm not taking up anything more than just my time. And time is money, but you know what? When it translates into something that comes back to you, that is payment. That's value, right? We're so caught up on the money thing so many times, especially as new business owners. If it doesn't make us any money, we don't want to do it. Okay? So being able to give back to other people is a key thing that we're going to have to be willing to do, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes of time, just listening to them and hearing what they're doing. And if we can't offer any value and we can't help them in any way, maybe we can put them in contact with someone else. Maybe we can help them improve their business and get more people for them without just being the person who hands out business cards all the time. Maybe this person does a podcast and I can sit in on a phone conversation with them and talk about a topic that's related to what they want to do in their podcast. That's a win-win there. I just spend my time doing that. So we have to be willing to reach out to people and see them as who they are. And if we can help them do this, this is the great thing about the power of prospecting is people know you, they learn to like you, and then they learn to trust you. Simply because there's nothing on the board that they are going to have to pay for necessarily. At some point, they will. And you might put, barriers on it, a little bit of guidelines. It's like, yeah, if I'm just sitting and talking in the meeting and listening and I'm not actively putting myself out there, sure, I'll do that for free. I'll help you sell, and I can take just notes, I'll learn about the people, I'll learn more, and you do your selling. If I can help you go through that process, maybe inject a little bit of, questions and what have you. I haven't done any real quote unquote work, so I don't necessarily need to bill for my time. I will later on. That's the way that I look at it. So while we're creating a list, we have our power base. The next thing that we can do to start expanding on that is take a look at the customers that we have sold, the people that are actively in our customer list. Now, there are some of them we may not want to include, and there are times when I don't. I look at them and say, they don't have any connections, and I really couldn't help them. We'll just go ahead and not put them into my active sold customers list. We'll put them into something later on we kind of call a Seinfeld list, which is basically, if you ever watched Seinfeld, there was no overarching story to anything. Every show was kind of different. And it was kind of generic and kind of, it was good though. And so we create that as what we call a Seinfeld list. So our sold customers and our power base. The third one is the unsold prospects, the ones that we went to, the ones that we tried to get them to buy into what we're doing, the ones we're trying to give them some value, but for whatever reason they said, not yet. See, no doesn't mean no forever. It means no, not yet. And many times I've found myself being the winner of some sort of extra money or something. I have some extra time. I get associated with somebody and I contribute, and yet I can't buy yet. Okay? So unsold prospects are a great way to go through because they already know you and hopefully they like you. The trust is probably where things might get a little wonky. But unsold prospects are a great list to be able to really expand, because you can look at everyone you've ever talked to that said no. And you might actually get some of them to actually go, hey, I forgot all about that. Yeah, let's talk about this and see if there's something that you can do that I would, that would make sense for me. Another list besides your power base, your sold customers, and your unsold prospects, the people you buy from. Where do you go for lunch? Where do you go for dinner? Where do you go to get your car fixed? Where do you go to get your tires handled? Where do you go for buying clothes? Everyone you talk to, regardless of whether they're selling you something, you're buying from them. In this case, where you buy from, you're buying things. They know people too. There are people on the other side of them. Again, this is the Dream 100 Type 2. You're looking for people on the other side of them. Maybe to buy, maybe to just get to know. But you're doing it through somebody. So we've got our power base, sold customers, unsold prospects, people you buy from. All of your vendors know someone. In fact, if you have a vendor for a particular service or a particular product, maybe you could introduce them to someone else, and they can get that same product or service out to somebody else. They'll appreciate you. They'll make time for you after that. Anything that generates money for them is going to get their attention unless they're just dead in the water not understanding how business works. So our vendors are important. And as the opposite of our vendors, the people that we provide service to, like if we're doing computer work, we're working on servers. We're not necessarily selling servers. We're not necessarily selling desktops and laptops, but we might service them. Or that we might service somebody's car. Could be a professional detailer, right? If that's your niche, then you go after that. That's something that you do, and that's people that already would appreciate it. And you can go and get those people, and they already have the connection because you provide them service. They already must know, like, and trust you. Therefore, your ability to expand your network even further, your prospecting pipeline, becomes much, much greater because you're already providing them service. And you're willing to give them something potentially for free or at reduced cost or something like this. Maybe they just need to give you you'd like to get a referral, or you'd like to get a testimonial. Well, these are people you already service. So you can get free stuff from them, and you don't have to pay them for that because you're already paying them. Maybe you'll give them a discount the next time around. Remember, a discount is not you paying them. That's a reduction in your price that makes sense in a value exchange. Now, we've gone through quite a few of these lists now, and hopefully these lists have got you to kind of think about all of the people you know. But there's a couple more lists that they're used, but they're not necessarily used the same way as any of these others are. They're closer to your power base. The people that are directly connected to you in Facebook, LinkedIn, these two especially, because Facebook tends to be friends and family centric, and LinkedIn is business centric. If you're anything like me, I must have well over 600 people in my LinkedIn list. I cleared out a big chunk of people out of Facebook, probably 400 people sometime last year, thinking that what I was doing was a good thing. Now that I'm doing prospecting on a regular basis, I think to myself, wow, maybe some of these people would have been good to keep in my Facebook groups because there's an email address associated with them and a name, maybe a telephone number. Most of the times it's pretty straightforward that people are going to use Facebook and LinkedIn by their email address. And so you can start thinking about those kinds of people, and that can massively expand your pipeline of people to do prospecting with, for, and through. And when we're starting out looking at this list, I mean, you could have, gosh, I don't know. I have a friend that has 1,500 people in her Facebook account as friends. She has access to every single one of them. And she does stay in contact with them for the most part. A lot of it is associated through groups and associations. So, she has a great connection. Another friend of mine, she must have 15,000 people in connections on LinkedIn. And these are not just your everyday ordinary people. These are like movers and shakers in business and wealth. And she has them in her LinkedIn account, which means somebody had to say yeah. Or they had to reach out to her and she said yeah. So there is a connection there, and you can start massively building. You don't even have to use social media to do it, which has its own flaws and challenges and things. This is just when you're doing your prospecting, you want to start just by building your list. And so all of these ways, your power base, which are your friends, your family, and your associations, your sold customers, your unsold prospects, people you buy from, the vendors you use, the people you service, and all of your social media connections, generally speaking, are going to create a pipe that is going to be feet around, and it'll be full of people you simply just need to get into a habit of connecting to. And so when we come back on Thursday, we're going to go through this process. Now we've got our list, and I challenge everybody, I challenge you right now to start building this list. You will get so many people, you're going to have to pare them back unless you want to work 20 hours a day doing prospecting. You have to limit some of this. And you remember what we talked about before in the very beginning is that you don't want to just fill your pipe once. You want to have a list of people you can fill your pipe, and as things filter out the other end, you can put more people in. And so this list building process is a massive list. I use a separate CRM for my prospecting. Some people say, well, Randy, you can use the one you use. No. I have different tasks for a one-point prospecting CRM. I have completely different tasks that I perform with my large CRM. I use Nimble for my prospecting and ActiveCampaign for my major marketing process, especially my email marketing, my digital connections, what's supporting my store, my online purchases that people have, end up in there, because that's a different engine that I use, one that I'm comfortable with and have had for years. Nimble is a newer one, and it gives me, I have some ability to go and do research and actually get not just the names, but also telephone numbers, email addresses, contact information, and get it into Nimble. Then I can export the ones that I want that are already qualified to move up. And prospecting, you can generate sales lists out of your prospect list, take those, throw them into your long-term marketing, build up your drip market. If you have 27 emails going out to people in 27 days, it might be a bit much. So what if you turn it into once a week and send out 27 emails once a week? 27 weeks is half a year. And you can put these people into this automation, or they call it a lot of different things. Different vendors call it different things. And you put it into the automation, and it just runs. Once a week, like clockwork, that email goes out. And then the next one goes out the following week. And then the next one goes out the following week. And you can tweak and adjust it to how many days. Usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are the best days, but Monday is a massive day for being able to get to somebody's attention if you get to them in the early afternoon. They've already cleared out all the stuff from their weekend, so now their Monday becomes available for more correspondence coming in. They've already filtered out all the garbage and all the spam and everything else, and they've had their meetings in the morning, and they come back from lunch, and if there's your email, hey, look, that's a great way to approach this. So we'll go through on Thursday and talk a little bit more about some of the strategies of prospecting that we might be able to use to build and fill and complete in multiple phases our pipeline, get it nice, big, and fat from all the different places we can bring it in. And just remember, these lists that I gave you are just the basic ones. That doesn't include all the people who might buy your product, who have bought your product from someone else, who don't even know about your product yet. This is what sales tries to help with the process of, is to reach out to those people as well and put them into the pipeline for your prospecting so that we can move them, if possible, into a sales pipeline and marketing as a whole. So for right now, this is Randy Bridges, the budding entrepreneur, signing off for the day. We'll be back here on Thursday to do a lot more of this prospecting, and I wish you the best in your health, your wealth, your family, everything about you. Take care, folks. And by the way, enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.